cease to function properly. They can take out your weapon systems. They can take out your life support. They can take out your main engines. So shields, that's the shield.
Oh, you're
so
wing.
Look, the wing is now gone.
Go to the exterior view. Go to the exterior view. Ah!
Yes. So they do need
you still have your light on though.
Yeah. Are you happy now?
Your flight lights are still on though.
So you also have likely lost that right side thruster cannon.
Well,
they're gone.
And the missile rack.
So
how to turn on.
This in particular makes me super happy. The fact that happens.
Yeah. But I wonder. So.
And note, you can actually see the thrusters firing when you use it.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
I gotta wonder though. So what's the expectation on the hardware to be able to handle this for multiple players? How many players can they fit?
One of the things that's surprising is that flight simulators are some of the least graphically intensive titles.
Why?
Because there's not that much to do. They're not dealing. They're dealing with a lot of empty space. They're dealing with a lot of distant range textures. There's one skybox that's the largest texture in the game.
That was one
so
way
we're
of
going
doing
to tag Taylor in now.
Yep. That was almost exactly the best way for you to end that.
Yeah. So the I will slide over all.
That is an experience.
So
I am ready for this.
Yes, you are, and I'm going to do you a favor because it's not gonna. You're going to want that further forward.
That is. Yep.
So that's a flight simulator.
I was gonna be like, I'm not gonna buy it. No, I'm just gonna wait till it comes out in retail.
Yeah. Well, you should absolutely wait. However, if you do buy it early, you can get as much as a $20 discount. The cheapest early backer purchase that gets you a full retail copy of the game is $40.
Okay.
And that's why I bought it, because I knew I was going to get it anyway. I might as well save $20.
And did they say what it's going to be full retail price?
The tentative release is Holiday 2014.
But retail price, did they say what it was?
Retail will be $60. There will be significantly more expensive bundles for it.
Which will include more
chips,
of the in-game
insurance, in-game currency, etc. So what you're looking at with a standard purchase at $60 is the game with one ship, and I think no insurance. The
proximity alert.
Oh, Taylor!
You're just spinning off into space. Team Rocket's blasting off again.
Damn, that thing is really just going.
Just jeez.
I'm the worst person.
You stepped on my foot. You're the worst person who's ever existed.
So, is your targeting working?
Let's find out.
I don't understand what the hell's happening.
That's a really odd thing because it looks really cool.
It is it's the best design choice in the game thus far.
Just like to give context, if it doesn't come up, it's 4/4 of a glowing orange circle spinning from your helmet to lock around the character, and then they just like lock on as a full circle.
And you have essentially at half lock your auto targeting is half effective.
Okay.
And at like 1/4 it's that. You can't launch one of your projectile, like your guided projectiles, until you have all four. And it's the best thing in the game thus far from a design perspective, like from a UI design perspective.
I mean, just the whole HUD helmet thing, I think is great.
Yeah, look at you.
Because it gives them reason to, when you're walking around without your helmet, to remove the HUD. Give you a HUD-free experience.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see how that comes into the actual full version of the game. But so, one of the things I also really like is the consistent immersion. You see your hands, your input into your input device is mirrored by the input on the screen.
That's how we all move too when something like
yes.
So
I talked to Andrew, who stopped by a couple of the booths at E3 this year, and he said that this game and Eve Valkyrie with the Oculus Rift were some of the coolest things he'd ever seen.
Okay.
Because both of those allow you by turning your head in this to change the camera's position, so you can follow something that's out and around you.
See, that's the kind of thing. That's one of the few genres that really makes me want to try out the Oculus Rift. There's a flight sim and like a first-person exploration game of some kind.
Alien Isolation, he said,
Like
is
that.
particularly excellent for that reason. I think it will work very well with survival horror, and then any first-person piloting in any sense. One of the things that I want desperately is that that Mech Warriors game, Mech Warrior 5, that was announced forever ago. I want that to go ahead and get here, and I'll buy an Oculus Rift for that.
Apparently, the indie game Superhot is also very good in the Oculus Rift. I'd really like to try that. I've tried the actual game; it's fantastic fun. I'd like to try the Oculus Rift. I've seen a bit of gameplay with it, and the guy was like leaning his head, and it would move around the bullet and things like that.
Oh, that's it. I wonder if we've turned the HUD off. Not the HUD, but like the targeting system. Like if there's an input for that. Luke,
I'm dwelling on the fact. I'm dwelling on imagining me playing a survival horror game in first person.
Why are you dwelling?
Because it would just. I would.
I'm saying
I think
we
I
would enjoy
die.
it. You would die.
Andrew said that he screamed like a little girl when the alien jumped on him.
Yeah.
Like it freaked him out so much he didn't know what to do.
Something I heard about with the Alien game too is, in like was Outlast, you can hide in the closet, hide under the bed. In Alien, you actually have to hold your breath.
Yes.
Which,
yep.
Admittedly, the only way you can win that game is just die. Like, just kill yourself in the beginning, because it will never find you.
Ooh. So,
they need to re-release X-Ray.
They do. I actually just found an incredibly sweet thing that I might do like way later tonight if this is all over, but reinstalled X-Wing Alliance using a mod patch and a modern OS patch, and the mod essentially reskins everything. So the geometry isn't better, but the skins are good enough that it actually looks really solid. It doesn't look amazing.
You know, Descent's on Steam as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, after my experience with Free Space, though, I don't know.
I'm afraid. I'm mad.
Yeah, but JJ and I both purchased Free Space, and that game is literally unplayable
without third-party mod support.
What's Free Space?
It's similar to Descent. It's actually made by Interplay as well. It's like one of the Origin 3D space sims.
Okay.
It essentially, it's what a lot of people hold up with Free Space 1 and 2 as the spiritual predecessor to the X-Wing TIE Fighter, Wing Commander, like that whole thing.
Okay.
The thing that led into the genre that led into this.
But if it's so popular, then how is it unplayable?
There's no support for modern systems.
Yeah.
Oh.
So modern
it wasn't optimized for, a modern system, which is, there are ways around it, but if I buy a game on Steam, I don't think I should have to go out of my way to figure out to get it to work. Like, if you want me to run in compatibility mode with a game, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
But to have to download extra things, it's kind of...
Yeah, and you can't run it at all on modern systems. You can't without a tremendous amount of EXE patching, and then you essentially have to create a completely different Steam folder.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, like, the entire point of buying it on Steam is that it is a simple procedure to launch it.
Yeah.
I can't count the number of games that I've purchased on Steam that I've sort of already owned in some way, shape, or form.
Well, that's what you're saying with The Witcher as well, just in case it's like you're future-proofing it, because it's simple to use with that form.
It is, and you don't have to worry about maintaining a physical medium, and it's something that, for the most part, has persistent... you will always have some sort of access to the game in some way, shape, or form. It drives me crazy that they released a game that no one that I know that's purchased it. You can go on to... both of us did, but you can go on to the community page. Nobody can get it to run without third-party mods. And that's
just disappointing and makes me not want to buy old classic games.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least through Steam.
Yeah. There's some that...
Would GOG be better for that kind of service? Because that's what they specialize
Only
in.
if it works.
Well, I don't know. That's what they specialize in, though, so
Yeah.
I would have thought they'd have more support for that.
Maybe.
They have a lot of sales. They have me sale at the moment.
Right.
That's where I got.
See-
That's where I'm going to get System Shock.
I like,
When I
you
get
can
it.
run that if you want to. That's just a frame rate thing. All the macro buttons on the left side launch different useful programs. Yeah, again, that's got to just be a bug with this latest patch.
Right.
That's really disappointing because that's really visually interesting. That actually makes the game much harder to play.
Strength.
Well done, not dying a whole lot. What killed him the first time?
A
Asteroid.
Oh, we'll see. There you go. Don't run into those, Taylor.
So Taylor, what do you think of it?
I wish my targeting system was working.
Yeah, I do too. Did they take your cannons out?
Shit. No, I think I did.
Oh, okay. That's no
Even your
good.
front cannon?
There we go.
Did you turn it off, or did
I
you
was
have it?
trying to toggle the HUD.
Oh!
No!
See, that's one of the reasons why I have always loved these games. Is moments like that. And it's funny because you duck when it's a 2D display. This is one of the few genres I'd like to see in 3D, and that is something that I will be doing. That display over there is 3D, and I have a setup for that. I'd be very interested to see this game in that. But most importantly, just VR technology. I think this is just such a perfect genre for that.
I think it's like you said. It was flight sim, survival horror, and what else would you say would be good?
I mean,
A
I
good
think anything
VR
like
thing.
Skyrim,
Driving
like any
is
sort
very
of driving is absolutely anything where you are driving or piloting something in first person. I think it works well with, especially if it's something that heretofore with flat screen displays we haven't had control over, like point of view and camera
Yeah.
direction. Because most games now, if you had control over camera direction, you wouldn't necessarily use it. In a shooter, you can't really do that properly.
Yeah.
But I think with VR, I think you could move it in a direction where that would be useful, peeking around a corner.
Have you seen the treadmill that's been designed to go along with?
The circular one.
Yeah.
I would love to play games with that.
I just can't imagine owning that and be like, well, I'm gonna break this out to play Battlefield now.
So
The thing is, I would do that because I've always wanted to. There's a guy that I follow on the internet and he plays games while he just walks on a treadmill, and he measures how long he plays a game by the distance he just walks on a treadmill. And I've always wanted to do that when I get one.
So
Like,
they
I'd love
did,
to set one up in front of a TV.
They did something at the last retreat that I went to where you had that treadmill, and then you had this new display system, and the display system was essentially like a 3/4 of a sphere that wrapped around you.
Yeah, I've seen that.
With a projector, and they gave you a controller, and it was essentially a 3D gaming environment that you moved in the x-axis with the treadmill, and it was an incredibly engaging experience. I'd like to see that paired with Oculus Rift, paired with
That gun.
the light gun, as well as the chest piece that has the different
The vibrating
haptic
shock thing.
feedback. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd
I'd love to play a game like that.
seriously,
It'd be a lot of setup, but it's one of those things that I think would be a lot of setup. But it would be very worth the experience.
I think certainly for a small arcade or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think the entire point is immersion anyway.
It's funny because that whole setup reminds me of the old 3D arcade games you'd go play.
Yeah.
That weren't that immersive, but you pay $15 for a 10-minute experience on those things, and you look at them and they're designed the same way,
Yeah.
just better hardware.
Yeah.
Or even like the older Time Crisis games, when they used to have the big bits of plastic that would almost encase you in.
Well, I mean, when I went to a Jillian or even Buster's, whatever it was, they had a Mech Warrior thing where you would pay like $10 or something
Yeah.
like that, and you got into a little cockpit and played it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a lot of fun.
They had and this is something I'm actually really interested to see later this summer, see if they're coming back to Dragon Con. But a few years ago at Dragon Con, they had essentially these 8 it was Navy surplus flight simulator pods. And this game that they had coded, and it was essentially a 4-on-4 mech game. And you climbed into it, and it had, it had rumbles in the seats. It had a gimbal that your seat was on, so it could like slant you or like jerk you if you took